I've reviewed probably hundreds of thousands of resumes, interviewed literally thousands of people, and hired several hundred senior executives in my years as an executive recruiter. I know how to ask the same question 5 different ways. Interviewing is an art form, and it's important for you as an interviewee to know that not all interviewers know what they're doing, and you need to have your own strategy to convey what you want them to know. Listen and learn. Hi, I'm Jenny Clark, a conscious leadership expert who spent 2 decades in executive recruiting and talent management. Having worked with giants like Google, Spencer Stuart, I discovered that the secret to transformative leadership lies in the 5 dimensions of conscious leadership. And I'm here to help you unlock your full potential. Join me on this channel as we embark on an honest and vulnerable journey together to become the kind of leader that genuinely inspires organizational transformation. I have a few ways you can get involved in this conscious community. First, I've created a free career map to help you uncover your next career move. Second, I've created exclusive content for you with a community of like-minded leaders. And lastly, I send out a free newsletter every week. To learn more, check out the description of this video. In preparation for a job interview, most people read the job description, maybe go on the company's website and possibly talk to someone who might work there or worked there if they're lucky enough to know someone. They review their resume, so what they say is actually consistent with what's on the paper, and try to anticipate a few questions they'll be asked. More advanced interviewees have learned to go in with a couple of questions for the interviewer because it can signal having done some homework and being curious. Know your audience. Get details on the person or people that you'll be interviewing with. Are they individual interviews or a panel interview with several people posing questions in the same room? Research each person so you know their professional background and a few other facts. That's what Google's for. Prepare a narrative. You might be prompted with, "Tell me about yourself," and stuttering and pointing to your resume is not an option. This is telling a short story, 2 to 5 minutes long, that includes what is not on your resume. It connects the dots for why you made certain decisions, experienced certain failures, and generally why you're sitting in front of the interviewer. I have 2 podcast episodes devoted to the topic of building a narrative. My podcast is called Fifth Dimensional Leadership, and it's on all the major platforms, Spotify, Apple, Google, what have you. Do a mock interview. Ask a colleague, a friend, or a family member to pose 3 to 5 questions that you have prepared written responses for. Ideally, the mock interviewer knows something about your world and can offer critical feedback on the content as well as the tone of your responses. Be prepared to respond to these types of questions. Behavioral or competency-based questions. They involve describing prior situations and matching those to what is required in the current job. Things like, "Tell me a time when," or "Describe a time when," right? Be sure to point out how as well as when. How did you do something, not just that you did it or someone on your team did it? Situational questions are asked of candidates to understand how they would respond in a hypothetical situation and are used to assess a response to a future situation. What would you do if, or when you're using SQL and whatever happened, what would you do, right? Hypotheticals. Then there are skills-based questions, and this is where candidates are asked to complete a task or deliver results that assess specific current abilities, like technical assessments or a typing test, if we still do those. If you're asked an oddball question during your interview, know that there is often a hidden question lurking in the obvious one. At least there's likely an opportunity for you to focus the discussion back on some of your qualities or qualifications. For example, if you were to be asked if your leadership style is more like a lion, a peacock, or an owl, be thoughtful and describe your interpretation of the characteristics of each animal and which characteristics you might have in common with 3. And if you want, offer a 4th option that best describes you and why. So take control of the question. Watch your time. Confirm how much time you have for the entire interview and keep your answers short. Follow the 3-minute rule. Keep your responses to 3 minutes and then ask the interviewer, "Is this what you were looking to understand?" They might prompt you for more. "Oh no, keep going," or nudge you to move on. I can tell you that there's nothing worse than someone droning on about a detail that isn't relevant to the discussion. I've cut people off. If you are running out of time and want to make a couple of points about yourself, you might pause and say, I know we only have a few minutes left, but I wanted to make sure that you know a couple more things about me. This is a very effective way if the interviewer is a novice and has maybe ended up talking more than listening. Now, you can share a couple of key qualifications, attributes, or experiences that they might not have asked about. Alternatively, you can say, I had a couple of questions I'd love to ask if there's time. And if not, maybe I can send them to you or we can have another short conversation. Without being pushy, you're taking control of the conversation and exuding confidence and interest. Here's an example. One of the worst interviews I had was when the candidate became argumentative. I think I was asking questions, but he didn't necessarily seem prepared for these questions, and he knew that he wasn't coming off well. I actually told him I wasn't going to advance him because I didn't think there was a good alignment between the role and his experiences and competencies, and I was rather specific. He was offended and stood up. Now, he's in my office, stood up and told me I was wrong and that he knew he was a strong candidate. I stood up and told him that while his background was relevant, he didn't know the caliber of other candidates that I'd interviewed. And I went on to say that he might want to sit down and watch his tone, or there was a chance he would not hear from other of my colleagues for future opportunities. The point being, leave on a positive note, even if you're eliminated. It's not always personal. I know firsthand how taking that first step can be the catalyst for a life-changing transformation. I remember the moment I decided to harness my own strengths, and it made all the difference in my career. That's why I've created a career mapping tool just for you to help you uncover your unique competencies and leverage them to design your own career map. Take the first step towards your next level by clicking the link in this video description, and let's start this incredible journey together.